All right, of course you can take your own note too. So if this, in case this recording mess up. So I'm starting recording, so we'll start the demo. So first of all, here is the requirement document. I'll put all the document in, the email too, so you get a copy of them. So Jeremy already have that, but I'll still put that, in the document. We also have wireframe. So these are the two important documents that we can talk about. Oops. And I will also send you the requirement document is huge, so you can see the table of content that it grouped by the requirement number, like EVT 001, 23, and so on, like all these different, processes. So in general, all the 001 up to like smaller than 200, most of them are cycle 1A. But at the end of this meeting, I'll also send you a list of which requirement is in the 1A. So you can read the requirement and also be able to understand the background behind it. So I'll also put it in my email. All right, so list of requirement. All right. And the second document is a wireframe document. So this is a wireframe document PDF developed by another design company that worked with our client. So this project, we took the requirement meeting, and then the designer company built this like document. So you can see, have some screenshot of what they're looking forward to. For example, this is the Help Me Choose page, which is basically a search page that you can search different events, by these different criteria, like a different type of event, the region, the industry segment, the date range you start, and the results show in the middle. So there's a search page. So the design firm make this, design wireframe, and then our job is to take the wireframe and write down a requirement. For example, the Help Me Choose page is corresponding to a requirement in my document called the find page, EVT 001. So what we did, we took the screenshot, like in a PDF, and write in like a paragraph what this page does and what the button click means, because in the wireframe there's no meaning on any action. So we took the picture and interpret it into our paragraph, and this become our requirement to development. So for example, this page, I specify when you search the industry segment, what's that mean? So these are the different criteria from this table coming from what's the program of interest, that is actually a list of event type and so on and so on. And when the button click, what would they see? That kind of thing is described in this paragraph. So that's the requirement document we have. And then I'll show you also the end result, how it looks like. So for Chris, what we're looking forward to is for you to first, understand requirements and then test our customization to make sure that we meet the requirement and expectation. So that's the end goal of this, your job role.
Okay.
All right. And then a question for Chris. Do you have any experience on making documentation? So for example, when you finish testing, do you also create some kind of documentation of testing different cases, different scenario, or the navigation?
Yeah, I'll usually make a visual walkthrough with screenshots, and I try to approach it as if I needed to be able to use it. My pedagogy is that if I want to do instructions that if you had to use it 6 months from now, you would understand the process.
Perfect, yes.
I like to make it very clear and very approachable and doesn't require any deep history of the project.
Exactly, perfect. That's exactly what we want to at the end of your testing. So I can send you some example that what we have before. It's not very pretty because we don't have a dedicated resources like you and an expert to testing and creating this document. But I'll give you some example of what we have. So I'll send you two examples. 1 and 2. All right. So this one example is we call it a navigation plan. It's for our last cycle of development, and as you said, it's like a walkthrough with like the title and like the screenshot. When click here, what happened. So as you said, 6 months from now, they can follow this document, not knowing it, and just go through the process. So we call this a navigation plan. It's not very pretty, just like a standalone, starting point that we did. If you have a better template, prettier template, feel free to use it. We are welcome, for more improvement and recommendation.
Okay.
So that's the first document. And then we also have a second document we call a acceptance testing, Excel document. I don't know what's the best way to describe this document, but this is about all the different testing scenarios that they can do. So for example, the navigation plan we saw earlier, just on one walkthrough, how to go from point A to point B, and only talk about how to click through stuff. But this Excel document is pretty much cover all the scenario. For example, you can enter, integer in integer field. You can enter other field, and some field are required. This document in Excel document in different cases. For example, that you must complete test case 10, test case number 10, and this is the step to execute, and this expected result. And they kind of have like pass fail at the end of check it. It's like a run through a different scenario. So I don't know what's a better way to do, but if you have any other recommendation or previous experience to better improve this document, that'd be awesome. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, so we have these two included in your email. All right, so let's walk through the requirement real quick in high level to spend the first 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes about the requirement. And then the next 15, 20 minutes about the iWeb, like the netFORUM side. netFORUM is the internal program for staff to set up events, set up all the dates, set up all the description, all the fee setup that they set up the event internally. And then we use a Sitefinity, which is a public website that the user that can come in to register for the event. So the two sides of this development. All right, let's take a quick look. All right, so I'll just go for the requirement document, just take a look on the screenshot and describe high level what we got doing here. So the first requirement is a find page. So yeah,
and just before you get too far in, sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback, I think, from Chris's speaker and microphone. It's going back and forth. So I was going to ask if whoever's not speaking, we'll just put ourselves on mute.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I can, just so that the recording is better, I think.
Okay, so I'm speaking now. I don't hear any feedback, right now, so we're good?
Yep, we're good.
Good. All right, so the first requirement is a find event. We call the find event, but they call like help me choose. So this page we have a page called help me choose. On the left hand side, you see all the search criteria. They have like a plus minus icon to open and collapse the different area. So the end product we develop is a little bit different than what you see, because sometimes during development, our developer have a better design, better UI, but the wireframe just describe what they need on the page, but the style may be different. So for Chris purposes, when you're testing, you say, hey, how come I don't see all the 20 options? You only see the first 5, because we make a decision of the user interface. We don't have much space, so that's why I only show the first 5, and then we have like a show all and show less kind of button to show more detail. So the main thing is all the requirement we meet, but the UI style element, we can have a lot of freedom to do whatever we want that fit this screen and all the design templates. So these are the search requirements. They can pick and choose anyone they want, and if they pick more than one within this area, the same group is all. For example, they can choose is bakery or beverages, then it will show event that have these two categories. It's not both, it's either or. And if they pick between category, for example, they put a start date, end date, and then put a region of North America, of course it's N, because like in Amazon search, you want certain product search, you want like, oh, I in North America, and also within these 2 dates. But within the same category, it's an or condition. So I think this may or may not be in a requirement, but I think we use common sense to determine what's the best way to find events. But if you find a better scenario and makes sense better, then we can adjust the logic easily. But this not like in any requirement, because we use common sense to determine what should be and or in this particular case. But in some cases, the requirement did say, oh, this must be and or condition. So this is the first requirement, the find page. The next one, of course, is a result page. Oops. Okay. So let me there's a good way. Okay. So this is a page for listing all the bias mission, but basically the list page we talk about is the list of events like this. We show the event's name, the date, the location, the a status of the event, like sold out, closed, open, early bird, and the wish list. So we also have a logic, like you scroll up a little bit. So these are the logic of different status, like they can be open, early bird, closed, and sold out, and wait list. And this will be the different testing criteria. Then in the next section, I will show you how to set this up, the event. So you can play around, oh, I select cutoff day, the event should not show up, and so on. So these are different testing criteria you can think of. So, and all the events, they can click on anywhere on the row and then go to the event profile page. And even though they're sold out, they can still go to the event page because you still want to see the event date and detail and description. So this is the listing of the event. And the next requirement is the detail page recall, like the detail of the event. It looks like this. Oops. All right, this one. So pretty much you have the event title at the top, the date, location, the detailed date, and a super long description of the event. Sometimes they have pictures, sometimes they have description link. So these are user content. It just shows you the description of the event. And the right-hand side, you have a button to say register. And sometimes it will say like sold out, closed, early bird, depends on the status of the event. And if it's sold out, then you cannot click the button. So we have this document in the requirement. And then the next requirement is to request information. So this one's the next one. So when they click this button, a pop-up just open, they enter the name, email, question. It's just like a contact us, ask question. What do you want to know more about this event? So that's that button. And the next is the registration. So when they click the registration button, it goes to this like a 4-step wizard. All right. And this breaks down into like EVT 005 is the main header requirement. It breaks down into A, B, C, and D, like one requirement for each tab. But this is like the meat of this, phases for cycle 1. And for this client, they have different scenario for different event type. I'll show you them, in a minute. Okay, so the first step, I'll show is this. Let's do this screenshot. It's a four-step process. The first step is they must agree to terms and conditions. So they check a checkbox. It's all documented. When before they check, the button is like grayed out. If they cannot continue without agreeing them. That's the first step. So I have more detail of what we do on the terms and condition page. So there's a lot of other stuff like, so first of all, they must log in, right? Before they can, if they are not logged in, they got to be directed to login page. So, and also they have some other requirements, say if the user has organization access. I'll show you what that means in a minute. So basically, each individual linked to an organization. So because what they do right now is register for the organization, not for myself. I work for a company A. I register for this company, not myself. I will show you how the setup works in iWeb and all the different detail. And the next one is called the qualification process. So each year, they have to complete a qualification to make sure they are approved for that year in order to register for events. So if they did not qualify, I have a pop-up that they enter all the details they needed for the qualification. So that's another requirement like EBT 006 or 7 for this just one process itself. But if they finish that for the year, they don't have to re-enter them anymore. So that's the qualification process. So the next one is a duplicate check. If the organization have already registered for the event, and they've got a prompt saying, hey, you already registered, it's duplicate, do you want to continue? And it's a warning, they can still continue because they can potentially register for someone else. It's just a warning, but they can continue on this one. So this all it does behind the scene on this terms and condition page, besides just showing the terms and condition. So because if they didn't pass this, they cannot even agree on terms and conditions. You have all the detailed requirements, have all the warning, screenshot, the text, what the pop-up should look like. And then it's just the same screenshot that they agree on the terms and conditions. And for food export, they have a special requirement that they have to agree on two different things. First, they have to agree on the terms and conditions. Oops, sorry. On the first screenshot, you can see they must agree on the terms and conditions. They have checked the agree and click accept. And once they click accept, that's a second pop-up. It's a confirm business transaction condition statement. So they want it specified that this must be a separate page or pop-up that they must check a second checkbox to agree on that. So they must agree on these two things before they can continue. It's pretty tedious, but that's the way they want. They cannot make it the same page. They must be on two different pages or two different pop-up, and they must have two checkboxes to agree on two different agreement. Also on the second pop-up, they must check a checkbox in order to click the accept button. Decline, close pop-up, the standard, procedure. So once they pass all the conditions, they log in, they agree on these two terms and conditions, and they go to the main development of this customization, which is the registration panel. So let me show you the screenshot. This very long requirement. You can see a lot of details here. And I'll cover this like Excel spreadsheet in a minute. So let's show you the screenshot first of all. This is a really very lengthy requirement. There you go. So this is how it looks like for the event registration, the tab. So on the top, it shows the event name, the description. I also in the red text is my text. I saying, oh, this is from the description field. Show date and location, event fee. So that's the top half of the page. In the middle, you will see the organization name and address here. There's a requirement that they allow them to change the address if needed. So they can click the edit button and pop up, show up. They can update the address and hit OK. Update the address of the organization, not the person. It's the organization address. And right below that, they can select a primary contact person of this registration. So for example, I work for this company called Canvas Fire, and we have like 10 employees, like Jeremy, Doug, me, Aaron, and so on and so on. This drop down will show me all the person within the company. So everyone's name is here. I can pick, let's say, okay, let's put Doug. He is the primary contact for this event registration. Because this is an event registration for the organization, we call it a group registration. We need a person responsible, to be contacted. So that's why we need to select a primary contact person to show here. And then on the bottom, you have the description text for the attendee information. So when I put this like red text here, these are dynamic information. It's not hard-coded. That means there's a database column called event attendee instruction text. I'll show you where they are in the iWeb of netFORUM, which they can enter. So the description will show on this event. In general, they have one general description for the event type, and this is the default one. But for specific event, they want a different text, they can put it here. And it will show for that special instruction. Below the instruction is a list of attendees. So it depends on different events. Some events may can allow 2 attendees, some allow 1, some allow 4. There's a setup table I will show you later. But for each attendee, they can pick a person's name here. So it is showing the exact same list from the primary contact person. So I say Doug could be the primary contact, and he can also be the first attendee, and Jeremy is attendee number 2. Or Doug is the primary contact, but he's not going to the event. He's just a person of contact. But I want, Aaron and Jeremy go to the event, so they are the attendee. So they can pick and choose any name they want. So on top of that, they can say to be determined or none. So if they select none, that means I don't have attendee to go. It's just an empty field. Even though they allow 4, I only, have 1 person to go. To be determined is they just buy the seating and they want to assign the name in the future. So they can change the attendee in the future, because for this registration, they pay, let's say, $100. It's up to 2 seating. Doesn't matter how many people you go, it's still $100. So that's what they can do, to be determined or none. And they can change this in the future. So this is the first, tab, or for the first half of the registration tab. The second one I'll cover in a minute. Okay, so and also for the attendee, there are very strict requirements. There's one requirement called attendee, number of attendee, is the way they set the event fee. There's 2 types of fee. The one fee is called a group fee. One fee is called individual fee. If that's a group fee, that means they pay one fee that will allow for multiple people. So they pay $100, then they can allow 4 attendees. $100 doesn't matter if you have 1 people or up to 4 people to go. It's just for $100 for the organization. And different event type, they have a setup that, okay, this is individual fee, meaning that fee only covers 1 person. So let's say it's $100 each person. And if you have 4 attendees, if they select all 4, they will charge $400. When they check out, you can see 4 different fees added to the shopping cart and $100 each. So that's a special requirement to cover how to set this up and how it will work in this requirement. But that's the 2 main fees that they can set up, either per person or per group. Then I will cover the requirement in a minute. So in the registration, I'll call page, there's 2 panels. The first panel is called register, so these are all the information. Oh, one more. There's one last thing. There's a question to ask, what is the goal of this registration? So also this depends on setup. Some events will ask this question, some don't. So it depends on the setup, then this question will show or not show. It's just a one text field, or what's the goal, and then they enter whatever they want. And the second half is called the activity panel. So this is called accordions tab or panel. So the second panel is called activity information. So this panel has 3 things. So one is called the session or track. So of course they have an instruction text. It's called activity instruction text shown on the top. It's dynamic pulling from database. So and then followed by the first list of information. Number 1 is a track or session they set up. So event can have different sessions, right? Like a morning, afternoon, breakfast, different like time or session they can go to. It draw a list they can check and choose which one they go to. It's just the list of sessions. And then number 2 is the additional option. For example, they want to buy an additional table or booth or additional lunch. So these are the additional money they have to pay. They pay $100, they got 4 attendees, great. But if you want to cover 1 table, you want 1 extra table, $100. So these are additional like optional item you can purchase. So I'll show you how they are set up in netFORUM, but that's one of the second item to show in the activity panel. And the last one is the activity questions. So those are in the same, this depends on setup. If the event don't have any session setup, it won't show number 1. If the event don't have any product set up, that won't show number 2. If the event don't have any questions set up, that will not show number 3. So these are all optional. So number 3, so these are the optional questions they want to ask. So for example, for some events, it is like called market builder. They want to know what country you're interested. So you have a drop down to pick a country. And then which product you want to promote, they will drop down to, add, show the product. And there's some like couple demographic questions they want to ask. So these are the questions that show depends on which event that is required. And they have 9 different event type, and each event type will show different questions, or some event have product. Oops. Some event have product, some event have session. That's all dynamically generated. So let's come back to the Excel spreadsheet.
Hey Ken, just to stop for a second. So I've never experienced in netFORUM the idea of adding questions to an event. So is that a baseline thing or a custom thing that we've done?
Right. So the baseline has this feature, but for food export, it's custom.
Okay, but there is the idea in netFORUM already baseline that you can add questions to an event.
Exactly, right. netFORUM baseline allow you to define question, a demographic question for each registrant. So each person can answer a specific set of questions. Let's say, do you need any special meal preferences, or do you have any like a special aid needed? That kind of question, per person. However, because for food export, they're using an organization level registration. So this question is for the organization, not for the individual attendee. So that's why we cannot use the baseline feature, and we build a custom, table to store all these custom questions.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
All right. So let me open up this Excel document. I'll also include that in the email. So, but this is a screenshot of what we, capture from the Excel document. It's pretty lengthy, but I'll show you what that means. But I'll open an Excel document too. It's hard to read from here. Let's just open an Excel document. So phase 3 requirement, demographic master. This one. Pop up. That's why. All right. I also put that in the attachment. Okay. Where's the document? All right, there you go. So this is a super lengthy document, but the only thing you need to know is the supplier combo. I also note that in the email. Okay, so this is basically the way from the requirement saying which event type and ask what questions. So on the top you can see these are different event type like market builder, trade mission, buyer mission, food export helpline, so on and so on. These are 9 different event type. And for each event type, what question do we ask? All right, so they also color coded. So the green one, meaning we ask on the registration. So that's the only one we concern right now. So let me show you briefly. Which is cycle 1A. All right, so all the other one like purple and yellow are also noted here. It's ask post registration, which is cycle 1B, which we don't need to know about right now. All right, so we can make it easier. Only the green one we need to look at right now. So for example, even the first question is like the terms and conditions. It's not really a question, but all events require the terms and condition step. But they also make it a, registration required, but, which is not a really question. So for example, line number 11, 12, 13. So let's say, please indicate what market you would like your market study to be conducted. So it is a required question for market builder and trade mission, and also for show plus, and that's it, right? So that's why when you're testing a specific event type, you will expect this question to show up. If it does not, then it's a a defect you to log. And then missing this one. So this one, please select which surface you're interested in, Red Finder and market scans. So I put a note here saying it's a track. So at the end, these are set up as a different track. So it's not a demographic question, but it will be available on this page. So you see number one, these are different track or session they set up. So they will see a track like called a Red Finder or Market Builder. They have to select this special track. So that's why I say this is a track. So this three are...
So when you say track and session, tracks and sessions are a little bit different in netFORUM. So will they display differently if there truly is a track versus just sessions?
Yeah, I think this is still up to the air. I think it's up to FoodEx how they set this up. Our programming has no limitation. It will show either one. For the background for Chris, a track is a grouping of sessions. So the track itself have nothing. But you could, for example, event have, like it's called the morning afternoon session, right, for September 18. And you have a morning night September 19 session and afternoon September 19 session. There's 4 different sessions, but potentially you can set up 2 tracks. First track called September 18, including the morning and after session of the 18th. The second track is a September 19 track, including the morning afternoon session. So that's how netFORUM set up. I think FoodEx has not decided yet, but I'll definitely double check with them to see which one they want. But our programming will show both. I think the way that both our developer, I'll double check how he displayed this, but I'm not sure. But I think we cover both. But ideally, I'll double check with FoodEx and make sure they only use one style so they don't mix up track and session. Because at the end, even though they register for the track, let's say they pick the September 18 track, at the end on the back end, they actually register for these 2 sessions. So that's the end result. So the tracking, just a grouping, there's no real meaning like in the back-end database structure beside grouping. At the end, it just creates a session registration.
So I guess currently the way our code is if there is a track, we don't display the sessions, we only display the track?
I think so. Yeah, but I think what I want to make sure FoodEx is, because this is also new to them, they use event module in netFORUM, but they don't know the potential. They know about all these features, but they don't know how to use them. I think it's good for us to set a standard. Now, no, you always set up session, don't use track. So not only it won't confuse the user, and also for testing and programming, we can make it consistent. Then make sure that only session will show up, not track. How about that? I'll put a note to myself to check with FoodEx. So this way you have a consistent layout and setup. All right, so this is a track session. Not really a question, but it's dynamically show, depends on if it's set up. So so technically, only Market Builder will have this like a optional track or session to show. All the other events will never have anything set up at all. You can definitely see that. All right. So purple and yellow, those are post events, so we don't care about right now. So this 3 is the demographic question, like the country you select, the product you select. You know, these are the demographic question. So the empty one meaning no, they don't have anything needed for this event type. The last one is the primary contact person, which is a question, but because all the events always require, that's why we put it on the first page or the first panel instead of the second panel. All right. So we also have a programming. For example, let's look at this event called the online product catalog. It asks for, so who is your primary contact person, and also the terms and condition. And nothing else we need on registration, nothing more green here, right? So that's why we ask these two questions on the first page. And in that case, the second panel will not even show. So it's right here. So because this registration page have two panels, the registered panel and the activity information panel. And if there's nothing content in here, we make a decision in programming. It doesn't make sense because in the wireframe it doesn't say anything about that. But when we program it, I think it doesn't make sense to show an empty tab with no content. That's why we decided to make a program medically. If there's no track, no additional question, and no demographic question, the entire tab will not show at all. So when you go to registration, you only see one tab called register, and the continue or next button will go to the next page. So that's, I think it's more user-friendly. That's why we make a decision. This may not document the requirement, but I think it makes sense as a development standpoint. That's why we make that decision. All right, so what else do we have in this Excel document? I think that's it. So that's all we need for a green item for registration. Everything else just for the after register, they can go to a different area to managing their registration. There are a lot more things to do, but that's cycle 1B. But so we'll talk about that, once we go live by sometime in November. All right, so that's all we need to know about this Excel document. So let's keep going. So that is the second page. The third page of the registration is a summary page. So when they select all the fee, like from the first panel, select the fees, select the attendee, answer the question, and then answer all the optional one. They can do all the optional demographic question. They click next. That will put that into the summary page. So which is 5C. So summary page has no functionality besides just demographic information. So you can see it's just a basic summary in everything read-only. It shows the name of the event, the fee they selected, the attendee, the question, anything is shown read-only. They click modify, it just jump back to the registration page. And that's it. And then they can continue, add to the cart, or cancel. All right, that's the main general summary page does. And there's one feature called OPC, the online product catalog. This is not finished, so we'll finish it next week. So there's nothing to show today for this guy. But what this is there is an optional event. It's called the online product catalog. It just, if you participate in this online product catalog, it just put you in the mailing list, to show your product. But it's a separate process. They check this box, then a pop-up open, they can register for the free event. It's a standalone registration. There's a separate requirement just for that. I'll come back to the OPC, when we come to that requirement. But summary pages show the information, optional OPC, and then checkout. All right. If they click cancel, they say, "Hey, are you sure they want to cancel?" Just that, standard thing. Anything else here? Modify, cancel, confirm, add to cart. All right. That's it for summary page, and then finally the checkout. All right. The checkout page is similar to the summary page. Where do you go? Here, okay. So this is a screenshot for checkout. They can do two things. They can delete the event registration, or they can modify. So modify, you'll come back to the registration tab. Delete is just a warning, and then the event is gone. And they can click next, which is go to the payment panel, or they can click register for another event, which you bring back to the find event page we did earlier. So that's that find event page. So if they really add another event, then you see two events in the checkout page. First one and second one, they can delete each one or modify each one. And then the total is the total cost of the event, including the event fee and any optional fee they selected. So that's the total fee right here. The checkout page has two panels. The summary panel we just talked about for the information. And the second panel, when I click next, it's open the second panel, which is the payment tab. So this is a very standard checkout information, like they select the bill to person, they select the billing address, they can update the billing address if they wanted, and then they pay by credit card. And they can either, submit I don't know why they have a next button, but it should be just submit. And also one thing that I note here that if you see something very odd in the wireframe, it's because we only took a screenshot from the whatever version number 8 we took, and then we make the requirement. And if I see something wrong in the requirement, I say this page will have a back and submit button. The description of the text didn't say the next button. That way we will not have to implement the next button. So what we describe in the text is the final one that they agree upon, because screenshot really like a markup and it's not the final. The final is what we describe in the text. It's not in the screenshot because they're typo, they're mistake. We don't, liable to doing that. It's what we set in the requirement in text. It's a final version. All right, so that's the checkout, and then they go to like the final thank you page. All right, so the thank you page has some like small requirements. So let me talk it through. It's a static page with all the text information, with only one thing dynamic, two things dynamic. The one text here is saying, okay, your soonest deadline is blah for the event. So what happened is they have something called the activity deadline. I kind of document it here. These are the deadline for the event. So because after they register, they have to do certain things, like they have to provide some document, they have to enter some additional question. Depends on different event type, they have a different deadline. For example, this event can set up, okay, this is like 7 days after the registration days. So I registered today, I got a 7 day to finish my activity. For a specific event, they have a cutoff day. For example, this event is available to register for the month of November 1st to November 30th. The cutoff day is November 30th. That's the last cutoff day, right? So it could be like 7 days after the cutoff day, meaning even though I register today, I don't have to do it until December 7th because the 7 day after the cutoff day. So these are all the setup that I could do in the iWebsite. I will show you like after this discussion. And so it depends on what the setup is. It shows that the date, so this is the soonest deadline that you have to do. Depends on what event type they register. Only show the soonest. Let's say if you register for 2 events, one event, the soonest day is like December 1st, the other one is December 15th. You only show the December 1st. And then it's the event name, not event type. I think I correct that in the description. So that's the first thing, dynamically show the different date in here, okay? And the second thing is called the upcoming event that is you want to check out. It's like a cross promotion like Amazon, like you buy this event, okay, you may be interested in this free event too. It's for cross promotion. And this paragraph kind of describe what it does. It say like up to 5 events. If they have a similar day range, region or segment, event type, so on. There's some basic logic to talk about what, the similar one. And then show the event, list them all right here, the top 5. So there's only 2 things dynamic for the thank you page. And then that's it. So that's all we do for cycle 1A. And that's some like additional requirement for example, 006. So that's checkout and payment. So for the checkout, they have some like specific requirement like credit card and bill me. So that's the only one thing special about here. Let me show you what that means. Actually, I don't have a screenshot for the bill me later. You can read through the detail, but the high-level requirement is for certain events, they can set this event is bill me only. So that means they must not using credit card to pay online. The reason behind that because these are expensive events, like a couple $100, I don't know, a couple $1,000 for the registration. And FoodEx want to save on money. They don't want to pay the credit card fee. So that's why they say this event must not pay by credit card. So they only set the bill me only. So if the event is bill me only on the checkout, they will not see the payment information. I don't have a screenshot, too bad. Let me see if I have a screenshot. I think this is the screenshot I tried to show, that on the billing and payment step, they will see they can pick a billing person and billing address, but there's no credit card information. And I think there's some wording saying, oh, you're doing bill me later, the invoice is sent to you. I think a document is somewhere. But this is a bill me only. So it depends on what event in the shopping cart, they can only do like bill me only. This is the end result. All right. And I also have a different requirement for bill me only that they can set on the organization level or the event level. Meaning, if the organization is bill me only, regardless what they add to the shopping cart, they only check out with bill me only. They cannot pay by credit card. And if they have a mix, meaning that, oh, I'm adding 2 events to the shopping cart, one is bill me only, one is optional. They can do anything they want. If that's the case, I think I have a requirement saying that when they add the bill me only to the shopping cart, at that point, if you have some other event in the cart that is not bill me only, you see a warning saying, wait, you're adding a bill me only to the shopping cart. The entire shopping cart will be bill me only. Do you want to continue? I have that warning set up. If that's the case, then both events will be bill me only when they check out. They cannot use credit card. I'm sure I have that documented somewhere, but I'll find that out for you guys. So that's complete the checkout process. Okay, and then we have a qualification process that we talked about earlier. I'll show you a screenshot. So basically, when they register, they have to qualify once a year for the entire organization. So let's say Jeremy and I in Catalyst Fire, that I'm just be the lucky one who's the first one to register for this program year, and then I will see this screen, the prompt, hey, you need to enter this, otherwise you cannot register. It's just a basic information about the organization, like are you U.S. company, number of employees, these are the basic demographic questions. It's just pulling from the organization. They just want them to review and update this once a year. Once I update this, I will log this in the database, so when January come back tomorrow, or if even me to log in again, I don't have to enter this one more time. It's for the entire organization. I don't have to re-enter it for the whole year. All right, so that's the qualification process. And then finally, the online product catalog enrollment. This is the last piece of the Cycle 1A. It's a pretty long description, but I'll just jump to the screenshot. So basically, an online product catalog is a free event. It's the same as, very similar to event. That's why you can see from an Excel document that the online product catalog is actually one of the event type. At the end, we will create event registration for this person who logs in. So when they check out, there's this checkbox. This is extremely annoying requirement because they always want to show this to everyone who logs in. So meaning Jeremy and I are the same organization. So if my organization did not register for the OPC event, this will keep showing up every time when I check out. So when I check out, also very annoying is they want to make sure this checkbox is checked. So when I check out and confirm and add to cart, because this checkbox is checked, it assumes the user want to register the OPC. So this pop-up opens saying, hey, you're registered for the OPC, let's continue. So they must agree to the terms and conditions, pick a primary contact person, because these two are required. Just like all the other events, they have to make sure that the terms and conditions are required, and also the primary contact person is selected. So these are the two required for registration for OPC. And for OPC, they have a different terms and conditions, only one checkbox, not two, so that makes it easier. They check a checkbox, pick a person, they can confirm registration, or they can say, no, I'm not interested now. So if they do not interested, they close pop-up just back to this page. So see what else on the screenshot. I think that's it. There are tons of requirement in the text. So that's some special thing that they want to make it so annoying that if I say not interested, I log in as myself as Ken. I say not interested, I have to uncheck this checkbox and say continue. So what that does is to put myself as a person into the like an opt-out list for myself only, not for the organization. So myself will opt out from the OPC registration. if I opt out, meaning the next time I comes in to the register for another event, the checkbox will be unchecked because I opt out. But that doesn't mean this will not show entirely. No, it will still show up. I just opt out for myself. But the organization still not, register. So for Jeremy, he logged in because he's in the same organization. Jeremy himself is not opt out. So this will still show up and the checkbox will still show. Still annoying pop-up will show up for Jeremy or anyone in the same organization. The only way to make this disappear is to actually register for the event. So once I confirm, once I click that, it actually register the organization to the OPC event. And once I do that, the entire organization will not show this at all for 1 year. So this is an annual thing. So Jeremy logs in, he will not see this at all because we already registered. All right. So that's why the requirement is kind of long to describe all this different scenario. All right. So that's everything about the cycle 1A. And then, I forgot this one. Free event registration. I'm sorry. So free event is for certain event type. I don't know if they're documented here. Yeah, it's not. But there's a setup like certain event like the webinar. It could be a free event. So for free event is super easy. It's a scaled down registration. It's a one-off. So you can see it's very similar to the regular registration, but only have 2 tabs. Terms and conditions and registration. There's no summary, no checkout because there's no payment. There's nothing to confirm. And it's a one-off. You cannot register more than 1 free event at the same time. It's do 1 event and done, just like the OPC. It's using the same interface in the terms and conditions. On the registration page, you only add the same thing on the first accordion tab. The goal question is kind of show, depends on the setup. And there's no activity tab because no demographic, no additional item. It's just always a free event, one-off checkout. Have a standard thank you page because there's no payment thank you page. The thank you page is static text and just okay, back to the portal or back to the Find Other event. So that's the free event registration. And then wish list we're not doing for 1A, so it's just a requirement for that. So that's it. And then bundle event we're not doing at all. So the 100 and 101 is important. I'll actually show you instead of like going through this requirement because these are all the setup we do in the iWeb the internal side, how to set up the event, how to set up all the fees. For example, how do you determine how many attendees to show? These are set up. So this is all we do internally. And then what are the region, event type, registration type, how they related, and then 101, so number of attendee and how the fee structure, like is it the fee per 1 person or for the whole group? These are all the setup that we can do. And then finally 102, this is a lot make for my developer, not for the PM or testing. These are all the database table or the field that we need to create or modify to store the demographic information, the bill me later, and so on. I'll skip all of them. And that's it. And everything below just for 1B. All right. I know there's a lot of information, but everything should be documented. And any question, feel free to let me know. So any question before we go for the requirement, before I show you all how it looks in iWeb?
When I do the reset password being there.
Not for me. I think I followed it, but I've seen these before. It's probably more for Chris.
I think it was a misunderstanding from yesterday. I tried to.
Yeah, so I'll definitely also including the link to their test site, and I'll make sure you have a login to the site.
So, where was it supposed to get the ECC stuff if there isn't? It looks like for this one there isn't. So, we'll try it out here. We'll see. Well, it fails, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and hit F10.
Oh, I thought the question for me. So, Jeremy, is someone talking in the room, right?
12 on the password reset. Oh, sorry. Need to meet myself again.
Yeah, I hear you and Aaron. So I'll also, get you the uniform URL. So this is the internal event setup. This is the external user registration. All right. So let's go to iWeb and show what it looks like. So Chris, have you probably never seen netFORUM before, right?
No, I have not.
All right. So I'll give you a high-level overview. So our company partnered with Avector, or Abila, they call it now. They have this product called netFORUM, which is an association management system. I think it's definitely, we would like to definitely continue to work with you. So we'll definitely make sense to train you on how to use netFORUM. But basically, this is the internal application they use for managing the entire association. They can do CRM, membership, exhibit, inventory, events, report, abstract, certification, tons of things they can do. All right. The main thing is about CRM, managing their customer. The second main thing is membership, like because they pay the dues, renew the membership, become a member. And the last thing is the accounting, because they need to pay, the membership bills, they can buy stuff, there's some three main things. And event registration is building on top of that, using all the existing customer, the accounting feature, so to register for event. So basically, we call it like, they have a top menu on the top. These are the main navigation. You can click the module menu. It shows you all the modules. It's like the start menu in Windows. They can pick any module you want. Once you pick a module, the second line will show you all the functions within the module. We call it group items. So for example, CRM have individual, organization, anything about CRM, you can, under individual, you can find individual, list them, add an individual, you can query, do something else, right? Same thing organization, you can find, list, and add. Let's say do a find. I find all the organization in the state of Illinois. Where's state? So really straightforward, basic, I go to list page, listing all the organization. I can click this organization and then go to it. Find list. Now I go to the profile page. A profile page, just like the way we call it, it's like the detail about this organization. It's a high-level profile. The top half is read-only, like the main information, the primary contact, addresses, the member, yes, no, that kind of main thing. And they have different buttons to update their web login, demographics. You can see the demographic of this organization, like the name, type, category, are they non-profit, tax exempt, all this demographic question, they can click edit button, can update the information. Like this is a test site, this is state incorporated, oh, I want to base in this. So it's just like different demographic field, right? I just things, and they can save. Save cancel always in the lower right hand corner. Oh, I need to select this guy. What? As one said, product facility. Oh, right here. That's required. So that's the iWeb interface. And I can see the information got updated and go back to my profile. And then you can also click any of this button, update name and addresses. There's a main information that you can do. The second biggest thing about netFORUM profile is called child forms. So because, for example, organizations have tons of information, like the contact information, the invoices, event registration, the product they are managing it, there's tons of things. So that's why they group by these profile tabs. So let's say I go to the contact info tab. So it has all my contact information. So for example, show my addresses, phone, fax number, and so on and so on. So we call this child forms. So I can modify the address. I can delete them, you know. I can add a new addresses. So this is just a way that they, you know, helping to, you know, managing the information. It's called child form. So I can add another one, it pop up, show up, you know, I can add a new address, hit save, and it will show at the bottom. So this is address validation that they implemented. All right, then the second address show up, right? I go to different tab, of course, I show different information. The event, show me all the registration that I have. You know, so these are collocation. So these are, since I'm here, so these are all the information that we did talk about that in most cases, you will be in the event tab for the organization, or you will be in the event module itself to set up the event. So once the event is set up, if I register, like if I log in, if I belong to this organization, and I register for the event, I'll have the event information show here. Like I can see who's the event registrant that registered for the event. And I can also, if I qualify for the year, I'll have a record here that, you know, remember the qualification process, right? I qualify on this year. Of course, in iWeb, it's internal. They can do anything they want. So I want to make sure this organization qualify for this year. This is the day they qualify. So you can manually, you know, set up some data to test. For example, once they qualify in iWeb, you should see this got created. Once they registered, they have see the registration record here. All right. Or if you want to retest it, you can always delete the qualification or cancel the registration. You can retest for the same customer, or you can just find a different customer to retest. There are tons of ways to managing in iWeb. So you're gonna use this a lot. The child form, you know, the navigation. So these are iWeb pieces for the organization. Now go to the events. So this is the main thing that we can work on. I also will include a second document for you, because at the end of the development, one of our developers actually create a simple documentation to do some of this setup. Like when I talk about how do you set up different event type, how do you set up how many attendees that are allowed for the event type. So these are the things we saw on the requirement, but where are they? I think he actually creates some of this documentation. Conversion script, actually department script, requirement, navigation plan. Actually, I don't have it. I'll need to find out where they are and let you know. Oh, right here. Is this the one? Yeah, Monier. Okay, perfect. So he actually tell you, for example, event setup. The new event setup are these. So these are, but didn't tell you where to go though. It's not very pretty. Too bad. Didn't tell you which module to go to. They kind of assume that the person know netFORUM because everyone know where event setup is. But for you, Chris, you may not know where they are. Right? You're missing the first navigation step where to start, but have all the detail to, you know, what they are at the end. Okay, I'll show you where they are. So most of them, like let's say right now I'm on the event module, so you can see all the things about events. I can set up the event planning. I can find an event, create an event, a registrant. I can find them. I can list them, or I can add a registrant. So a registrant is the same as attendee. The client called attendee, but based on that form, we call registrant. I can set up sessions, track, speaker support, and a lot of different things. So these are like the keyword and terms we just use, you know, a lot in a netFORUM world. So let's look at the setup first. So all the setup is under overview. So you can, same thing as, for example, even in a different module in CRM, I always have the first option called overview. I can set up the customer setup, address and phone setup, demographic setup. Like there's a standard, all the setup is always on the overview tab. For the event setup, let's see what we can do. So I can go to, so basically overview and setup is this page. I can click this link called event setup page right here. Or I can just click this link, event setup. It goes to the exact same page. All right. As you can see, this setup page, you can set up different event type. I can add a brand new event type, or I can modify existing event. For example, let's see the buyer mission. So these are all custom things that we build for them. So for example, this is how it called in netFORUM, called buyer's mission. And the Sitefinity is the public, CMS that they use. So this is a special page we need to use because I want to eliminate any special character. So this is a page we use internally for the Sitefinity page. And then show in activity search. So this is also documenting the requirement that, for certain event type they don't want to show. For example, let's go back to the requirement. Find events. There you go. So the program of interest, these are actual event type. You can see the buyer mission, food show plus, webinar, seminar. It's the exact same list from iWeb that we see different event type. But only the ones they show in search will show up. So this is kind of like one of the steps that we have. It's also documented requirement, but this is set up here. And the next one is the deadline, date, and type, right? So for example, the buyer mission, the deadline is 7 days after the cutoff date. So these are the setup that we set here. So these are the 30 days after registration day. So these are setup that you can play around and see how that interact at the thank you page, right? Because that is the soonest deadline day. So this all determined by this setup. So this is the event type. So fee category. So this just some setup may not be required. It's just a setup that they have, but not in one of our customization. That each fee, the event fee could be early bird or standard. Just a category. Seasonal track type is what they have, but we are not using for our customization. So they have this set up for categorization. Event category, that's also the internal, so these are all the internal things that they have currently, which nothing to do with our current customization. We didn't build anything extra for that. More registrants. So these are different registrant type. The existing type, we're not doing anything special, so nothing to talk about here. Ribbon type, we're not using at all. We don't use anything else. So these are two things that the main thing we build is to set up like show in search, deadline type, and deadline date. These are the only thing that we added, and also the Sitefinity page. So that's set up on event type. I think that's it. Nothing really else that we touch on. All right, let's go back to pick an event and take a look. So let's pick, so this upcoming event, I can only pick one here, or I can just do a find and list, but since it's convenient, I just pick this event, for example. So this is called a profile page, similar to the org profile. The top half is read-only. You can click the edit button to modify information. The read-only stuff about the important information about this event, like the date, location, attendee count, and all the things you can do. And of course, you have these trial forms that, the first trial form fees. So these are the event fee they set up. And then you can see the track and sessions, who's a registrant, who's housing, sponsorship. These are like additional information about the event. So let's look at the event itself. So let's do the event information button. It has the event code, event type, event title, and these are the important dates, like the cutoff date, the early bird day. The standard cutoff date is the date that actually cut off. No longer they can register. So post web day. So only event with a post web start and remove date valid will show on the website. If they never set up this date, the event will not show on the public website. So you can set up an event yourself and don't set anything here. The event will not show. All right. So this date meaning okay, make it public. So that's what it means. And if you check this checkbox, it means this is a free event or not a free event. Okay. So for free event, you can set number of attendee. So that's the number of drop down. It can show like 1 attendee, 2 attendee, up to 4 attendee. So this is the number of attendee. And then so these are the description, short description, long description, and then a super long HTML description. So these are all the stuff they can do. So secondly, we build this new thing called additional information. These are all custom. So these are all the for example, distribution channel, industry segment, and the country. So these are the ones when they on the search page. When they search, I want to find any event have these industry segments or this specific region. Those belong to, oops, here. I think I closed the windows. I did. Okay. So this is what they search on. These are the industry segments and the country that they search on. All right. I also have some documentation that, okay, if they search a country called United States, so they're actually searching the region in North America. So the region is geographic region, not the country itself. But there's some setup in CRM that you can link a country to a region. So it's searching all the countries belong to that specific region. And then these are the dynamic information about, let's say, the attendee description, the activity description. These are optional. If they put it, it will show on the activity panel on the registration page. These are the dynamic setup. So this all we build is all custom. And then finally, the fee, that's important. Okay. So for netFORUM baseline, an event could have more than one fee. And each fee you can set up a start date, end date, show online, not show online. So you can have an early bird, like start on today, end on August 8th. The next one start on August 4th until the start of the event. So you can set up different day range for events. Only the event have show online will available to the public website to register. But if you don't check online, the event will not have fees. Okay, and the event have like something called a fee attribute. This is specific to netFORUM, that who is qualified for this fee. For example, this fee only available for this day range and only for customer who is individual, and only for the registrant who is a supplier, and only in the Midwest region. So these are the special criteria that we meet. So basically, this is the only one that we use. You can set, okay, only in the state of Illinois, the person's address in Illinois can register for this fee. We're not using that, but these are the only one that we use. There's one requirement I think also makes sense to read. I think is the, let me see what the requirement is. Let me see, number of attendee, where's the fee? It's part of the 100 to event fee setup. So these are the setup, talk about all the setup that we can do. And we talk about different fee category. And one thing we talk about event region. So this is like describe how we use this region. So because food export is registered per organization, and they mark each state in different region. For example, Illinois is Midwest, New York is Northeast. So each organization belongs to a region. And if you're different region, you automatically qualify for different fees. And depends on different events. Some events have more than one fee for Midwest, one fee for Northeast. So that's how we know to show which fee, because they may have a different amount or different account behind them. But in this particular event, they only have one fee set up for early bird, and then a standard fee for the same region. So the early bird just like before August 3rd, right? The next one just starting August 8th. So that's only one fee. I think I have one example that have, let me see this guy. G15AFI. I think this one will have more than one region. So show you some different flexibility. Find event by code. Okay, let's see. There you go. So, but they're also the same price though. So sometimes I see that you can set up like, okay, in this particular case, that means that this event fee is $150. That all this free attribute will qualify. Let's look at different attribute. So this is individual who is in the Northeast organization region can qualify for the fee, or in the Midwest region, or even in the out of region. Nothing here, right? So this is out of region. That means everyone can qualify for this price. But the setup is very dynamic that they can potentially that, okay, I charge a Midwest $150, Northeast $200. Out of region, I charge them like, $500, something like that. So they can potentially set this up, and our programming support all this. So you can play around, and but I don't think there's any requirement to say, okay, different fee need to be different amount for different region. But I do know that some events only have a Midwest region, some event only for Northeast. For example, the event we saw last, it only have event fee that have attribute for the Midwest. You can see this is, it doesn't show here, but it shows in the Midwest, right? There you go. So that means if I log in as like myself, but my organization is in the Northeast region, when I try to register this event, there's no fee show up. It show warning, there's no fee, I cannot continue. So that's one of the testing scenario that you cannot continue because there's no fee available. So they do have that. So this is a special like a Midwest event, not a Northeast people. They have that kind of restriction. And then one more setup to look at is the registrant. So this is the internal pieces like iWeb. They can do anything they want. They can set up any fee. They can register any individual. So once I register, so let me see if they have any registration here. Okay. I don't think they may not have anything for this particular event. Yeah, nothing. No one registered. So let me go ahead and do a registrant and find registrant. Again, registrant is same as attendee. Let's find a more recent event. All event is prefixed by the fiscal year, 14 and 15. Let me find someone in 14 in random. Hopefully they have some events. Okay, great. There's a couple person. All right, this is a registrant profile. And as you can see, very similar. The top half is read-only, and the bottom is just like a child forms. So you can see the demographics about this person, it's just additional information. This is the name. For the demographics, so this is custom actually. You can see what market they're interested, what country, what product they want to promote in which country, and what's the goal that they answer in the question, right? And also, I think there's some more demographic information. Let me see where they are. Sponsor, buyer, session. Yeah, I think this is one of the questions that they answer, what product you want to promote. So this they can select the product. But in this case, there's no product to promote. This existing registration. But for new ones, so let's say you register a new registration, you select a product, it should show here, the product they register. It shows for anyone in the organization. For example, if this registration has 4 people, then anyone will show on all 4 people registration record. So this is individual for that person, that attendee. If I go to different attendee, it will show the same product because the product belongs to that group registration. Go back to events. Let's see what else interesting here. Fees. This one has no fee. Great. I think it's one more step on the fee I want to show you. Oh, there you go. Number of attendee. So that's the second location where you can set up the number of attendee on the fee level. So you can set up, okay, this fee have allowed 4 attendee. And so this is very important. Is this fee applied to the group or, multiple attendee or 1 attendee? So for example, if I do this, so that means this fee, $200, can have 2 sitting, 2 attendee allowed it. When I register, I'll only see $200 on the shopping cart. If regardless I pick 1 or 2 attendees. If I have 2, then on the public website, I will draw 4 drop down. They can pick the first person as me. The other 3 they can say none. They can still charge $200. They can pick all 4 persons, still $200. So that's the number of attendees, on this fee. That means, so this fee allows multiple attendees. If I uncheck that and hit save, this event will still draw 4 drop down on the attendee. However, each attendee will charge $200. So that's what this checkbox means. All right. Additional meal. This is custom, but I forgot what that means. I had to come back to you. It may be in the requirement, but I forgot what that means. But that's most likely for the post-registration, not for to cycle 1B, not for 1A. So that's why we don't need it right now. Okay, so I think that's a lot of information, and I don't want to bombard any more information for you guys. So I think the plan is to have Chris, with the requirements and the wireframe, and give you login to iWeb and play around and set up, get familiar with the iWeb pieces. And you can actually register in iWeb. In iWeb, you can do any registration you want. There's no restriction. You can play around netFORUM, and I think early next week, we can set up a second meeting to actually show you the demo of the actual website. How do you run through the registration, the actual end result of the product, and then you can start testing from the front end. For right now, you can definitely start testing too in the iWeb pieces. You can try to set up, for example, you go to set up, save a record, nothing worked, but that is not covered in our requirement because that's netFORUM feature, but it's good for you to just play around to get familiar with netFORUM, because in the future, we definitely would like to involve Chris for a lot of other testing for other projects that everyone uses netFORUM. You can get yourself familiar with the baseline feature. So how's that sound? Any question? Jeremy or Chris, any question?
Nope. I'm pretty good.
How are you, Chris?
Oh, I think he said take 1 second.
Oh yeah, I see that, yeah. Oh, his phone's still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, everything sounds good. I guess a few outlying questions with food export and the portal. Am I going to be expected to use Explorer, or is it a little bit more open if I'm on a Mac versus a PC?
Right. So for the testing environment, we need to test on IE, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think that probably better. I don't want to learn how to do
Jeremy, do you remember is Safari, we use the PC version or the Mac version?
When we're doing testing, I believe we've been using the Mac version, but don't hold me to that. The only 2 people who have Safari or have Macs are Jason and Aaron. So,
Yeah, I mean for Chris, for his purposes, I think, do you have a Mac, Chris?
Yeah, my primary machine is a Mac. My secondary is a PC laptop, but I run XP on it for my needs. So that's the limit I can go on the PC.
Yeah.
So I think I remember in the SOW that we said we would support Safari as a web browser and we would support Mac machines. So I would assume that we need to test in both ways.
Right, but we did not say if, let's say, IE, Firefox, or Chrome. We didn't say it's IE, a PC version or Mac version.
Oh, true.
Say that, yeah.
Well, but we did say we would support both machines. I would go as far as to say.
Right. Yeah. For me, I would say, I mean, hopefully, if you run Chrome on Mac versus Chrome on PC, I hope the result is the same. Right.
Okay.
I don't know. The question, Chris, you have more familiar testing. I don't know.
There's always those little bits, and coming from a publishing and pre-press background, we tend to tinker with our machines more, so I'd have to dumb it down and make it kind of like an assumed general user, so that there wouldn't be any font issues or custom plugins and things like that.
I see.
I could attempt a Windows 7 emulation using Parallels on the Mac and see if that functions. I know there's a little bit of a hit in productivity as far as processor tasks, but I could certainly throw that out there as a wild card if need be.
I see. Great. So your expert will let you to figure out that for IE, we specifically say IE 10 or plus. So you don't have a 10 any version 9 or before, 10 or above is what we cover. So for netFORUM, it's IE only. So this internal, we don't have to test netFORUM per se. So I mean the testing is actual for the Sitefinity at all. For netFORUM, just like no testing needed.
Okay.
On browser. And also netFORUM only support IE. Well, no, actually not true. I'm sorry, take it back. So IE is only for the internal toolkit side, but no toolkit should be fine.
Okay.
So for right now, I think you can study the requirement document, and then I'll get you the site login setup. For this week, you may just play around iWeb, the netFORUM site, so we don't have this yet. I'll send you the link for Sitefinity once we have a test site set up, because we don't have a test site yet for you to log in.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. So Ken, since we have Chris on the line, I think our plan is going to be to use FreshDesk for our bug tracking system.
Sure.
That way, as bugs come in, I can forward them to Pivotal, and then you and Bo can work out of Pivotal. So what I'll do is I'll get Chris set up on FreshDesk as well, so that as he's doing his testing, he can enter the tickets there. And Chris, FreshDesk is very simple to use. I don't think you'll have any trouble at all. So you'll get like a little email telling you to like log in and register yourself. But once you do that, it's very straightforward. But if you have any questions, definitely let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it's a lot of information to digest, but hopefully the documentation will make it easier. If any questions, feel free to email me or call me. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Perfect.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Ken.
All right.
Yep, you too.
Bye-bye.